She was supposed to be dead. Her funeral was already underway, but then she walked in, alive. Her husband froze in shock, but he wasn't grieving. He was terrified, because she had just uncovered a secret so dark it could ruin him forever. What happened next turned a funeral into a moment of ultimate revenge. This real-life story will leave you speechless. Stay with me until the very end. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Noela is a native of Burundi, which is one of the poorest countries in the world. As a young Burundi girl, Noella Rukundo had always known she was meant for more than her background could afford. She had always had dreams of leaving home and living in a big city. Noella, like many other homeless children, lived and worked on the streets. When Noella got older, she decided to change her life. With some help from strangers, she found a way to leave her birth town. Bujumbura, the largest city in Burundi, was her destination. It was the perfect place for her to start a new life. Soon after arriving there, Noella got a job. Her job paid reasonably well, and soon she found a little condo for herself. Not long after that, Noella's beauty found her a charming young man, Zrenia Arthaf. She got a comfortable life with him. He treated her nicer than anyone in her life ever had. He was an orphan as well, but unlike her, he got adopted by a lovely family. Arthaf loved her, and she loved him too. All of Arthaf's family loved her like a daughter. Soon she conceived and expanded the family. Noella got married to her husband. Noella was confident she would give her children a better life. Unlike the rough life she lived, she gathered her courage and moved to a foreign country to start afresh. Moving was not easy, but in the end, it would all be worth it. Unfortunately, the relation ended not long after their children were born. Noella became depressive. She did not know the pain would hurt so much. It was almost unbearable. It made her decide to change her life again. In her eyes, the best option for a brighter future and more opportunities for herself and her kids was to move to Australia. Housing was a surprising challenge. Firstly, she had to determine a neighborhood that required effective research and planning. Next, she had to find the right school for her children. Noella also needed to find a job quickly to sustain her children. Noella got a lot of help from her expat community. She was able to enroll her children in the right school. Noella was also able to find a new job and a decent place to stay through the aid of a resettlement agency. Significant life event that left her and her kids on their own. She had faced a great deal of struggle. She tried to be the best mom you can be while also holding down a job or two to keep her little family afloat. Noella had no family or good friends nearby who could help. It's very isolating. Noella tried to be happy with her life, but she couldn't help being lonely. If only she could share her burden. It's a lot all the time, and it can be very overwhelming. That's when she met him. That was when she met him. A young refugee from Congo. She didn't know his name yet, but their paths had crossed frequently. Whenever he was around, Noella felt strange. She had never felt that for anyone before. Noella was the captain of her ships and found herself having to take on the role of sole breadwinner. There was no shame in asking for help when needed, or acknowledging the times that she had no way out. Noella had appointments to visit the social worker that had helped her to build her new life often. This meant going to the agency quite a lot. Serenia and Noella found out that the nice young man's man was Balanga Kalala. The man introduced himself when they met that day. They exchanged numbers, and that was it. Kalala started paying visits to Noella's house. He met her children. The kids seemed to like Kalala a whole lot. He started helping around the house. He fixed her roof and picked up the kids after school. Kalala also had a good command of English. He had been in Australia for a long time. He also helped her with her translations because Swahili was Noella's only language. Noella heard Kalala's story. She was moved to tears for him. Kalala lived a decent life down in Congo until a rebel army had attacked his village, killing his wife and son. He hardly escaped with his life. He had fled from his small village in Congo. Noella finally understood why she fell in love with this man. They had both lost something precious, and they could form a happy life together. Kalala's personality brought out the best in Noella, and vice versa. It's just a bond that couldn't be ignored. Noella watched in satisfaction as her family finally became whole. Noella fell in love with the man that completed her. They became a quick family, with Kalala treating Noella's children like his own. Kalala got a new home that could easily accommodate the children and those on the way. They moved to the Melbourne suburb of Kings Park. In the next few years, she and Kalala had 3 more children together, making their family quite large. Kalala worked hard to provide for their family, And Noela had no complaints. Kalala had his faults too. Life is not always a bed of roses. Noela started noticing some of Kalala's undesirable behaviors. He had his violent side tucked in one corner and soon started to exhibit it. Whenever he was tired, he'd shout at little things, and sometimes he'd get physical. Noela had her fair share of abuse, so she saw the signs early. But once he calmed down, he would come running back and beg for forgiveness. If Noela were asked who her hero was, then it would be the people that took care of her when she was young and lived in the streets. There was especially one woman who had a special place in her heart. Noela was maybe homeless, but when she needed something, the door from that woman was always open for her. If Noela received a message that the woman had passed away due to her illness, Noela decided immediately that she needed to go back to Burundi to say her goodbyes. She would get a final chance to pay the last respect to her hero. Unfortunately, the day came when the sad news had to be faced. Reminiscing the past, she remembered the rough life she once lived. Noela was exhausted but couldn't rest. The funeral was that day and she needed to go. It would be the last time she'd ever get to see the woman who always helped her. Noela's caring husband wasn't able to make the journey with her, but regularly called to check on her. It was a 7,500-mile journey from Melbourne to Burundi. Being back home brought back a lot of memories for Noela, most of them unpleasant. The funeral service was a concise one. She met her old friends and family. Afterwards, she checked into a hotel in Bujumbura. She was sad, tired, and missed her children and husband deeply. As she prepared to rest, her husband called. The conversation was comforting. He encouraged her to get some fresh air before bed to relax. Noela went outside. As she breathed in the night air, a man approached. He pulled out a gun, and she froze. She followed his orders, terrified, and was led to a car with 3 other men, 2 gunmen and a driver. They blindfolded her and shoved her between the gunmen. Her phone had been left at the hotel, a mistake. The journey felt endless. She sobbed until one of the men threatened her to stay silent. The car eventually stopped, and they dragged her into a deserted building and tied her to a chair. The leader ripped off her blindfold. She didn't recognize him. He asked, "What did you do to this man? Why has he ordered us to kill you?" Noella was speechless. She had no idea who would want her dead. Eventually, she gathered the courage to ask, "Who sent you?" The men exchanged looks and finally answered. Their leader stepped forward and said coldly, "Your husband." She couldn't believe it. They called their boss and put the call on speaker. Her heart shattered as she heard Kalalas' voice ordering them to kill her. It was unmistakably him, her husband of 11 years. She couldn't move. Her breath shortened. They weren't lying. Her death had been planned. One of them even said her body would never be found. Noela passed out from the shock. When she came to, she prepared for death until one of the men spoke up. "We're not going to kill you. We don't kill women and children." A miracle. They'd been given clear orders, but the leader chose to spare her. Still, danger lingered. The kill order had been out for months. There were others who might still come for her. Noela was grateful beyond words, but overwhelmed with questions. Why had Kalala done this? What had she done to deserve it? She was still in danger, and she had nowhere to go. But the leader who once intended to kill her offered her a place to hide until it was safe to leave. Noela spent 2 days in the abandoned building with the kidnappers. During that time, they convinced Kalala that his wife was dead and extorted more money from him. As she stayed hidden among assassins, Noela processed her grief. Grief not only for what almost happened to her, but for the man she thought she knew. Her husband had ordered her death. While she laid low, her friend in Burundi, expecting Noela to visit after the funeral, grew concerned. After days of silence, she checked the hotel and found Noela's belongings still in the room. Discovering her phone among them, she contacted Kalala and asked for money to start an investigation. He agreed, knowing full well his wife was dead, to avoid suspicion. The investigation began, but Kalala pushed the theory of an accidental death. Meanwhile, Noela's captors handed her a memory card containing recorded phone calls and proof of Kalala's financial transactions. She now had everything she needed to prove her husband's guilt. After nearly a week missing, Noela was released. The kidnappers gave her 80 hours to flee the country, warning her that other assassins might still be looking for her. They had shown unexpected mercy, and she owed them her life. She contacted her pastor in Melbourne and revealed everything. At first, he didn't believe her, having already heard of her supposed death. But she assured him she had evidence. He promised to keep her secret and helped her return safely to Australia. Back home, Kalala played the role of grieving husband flawlessly. He organized a funeral, received condolences, and even monetary gifts from well-wishers. His performance was convincing. No one suspected a thing. Noella, alive and watching from afar, waited until the mourners had left. Then she approached Kalala. As she came into view, gasps erupted. He turned pale, stunned to see her alive. His legs gave way as she reached out and touched him. Kalala begged for forgiveness, but it was too late. She had already notified the police. They arrived right on cue and arrested him. Thanks to the recordings, Noela had undeniable evidence of his guilt. Though he initially denied involvement, once his voice was played back on tape ordering her death, he broke down. She pursued legal action. In court, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 9 years in prison for attempted murder. The judge reduced the sentence due to his confession. Before Kalala was taken away, Noella asked him a final question. Why? His response was a quiet apology. He claimed he no longer loved her and wanted her gone. That was all. The betrayal cut deep. Noella would carry the wound for a long time. Even as she lay in bed at night, she could still hear his cold command. Kill her. What hurt most was not understanding why. There had been no clear reason, no crime she had committed to deserve such cruelty. Still, Noella was determined to move forward. With the support of friends and her own resilience, she began a new chapter. My past is nothing but the past, she said. What's more important is the future, and that's my focus. I'm starting a new life now.